Oh, beautiful souls. Welcome to this video on the Sagittarius full moon, which is happening on June the 14th. And this full moon is an initiation into deeper levels of trust and faith. It really brings this question to the surface of, can you believe it before you see it? Do you need that tangible proof and evidence before you know your vision is a sure thing? Or do you trust that all manifestations are first and foremost energetic? And when we hold the frequency, we align with the vibration, we take decisions that are in alignment with where we desire to be. We take actions that are in alignment with where we desire to be. That's when the universe rearranges and we see the tangible manifestation. So I am going to share my screen today and go over some of the main aspects that are happening around this full moon. There is lots on the go here. This is a very dynamic full moon. So if you are new to me and my station, a big warm welcome. It is great to have you here. My name is Kara. I'm an Akashic astrologer. So I study the planetary shifts and I also work within the realm of the records. And I love to bring both together to support you in aligning to the highest timeline for your life and business. So if that resonates, be sure that you subscribe. I would absolutely love to support your journey. So full moons are always an opportunity for deeper levels of releasing and healing because they act as amplifiers. So I know many people find their sleep may be disrupted at a full moon. They may find there's a lot of surfacing. This can be emotions and fears that have been shoved down that really come to the surface at this time. And I know it doesn't always feel like a blessing, but it really is, because when we are aware of what is going on in the subconscious, when we are aware of maybe the emotions and fears we've held in our body, then we are able to make changes. We are able to make shifts so we can create something new. Now, also, full moons are a time of celebration, and sometimes that aspect is overlooked. We're doing the healing work, we're doing the releasing work, but we don't realize that it's also time to celebrate. And celebration, the energy of celebration, is the portal of expansion. And it really is a mindset. So if you're hearing this and you're thinking, I have nothing to celebrate, the intentions I've been putting out there are not coming to fruition, it is time for a mindset shift. It doesn't mean that you can't honor your human self and those parts of you who may be feeling frustrated, angry, discouraged, and overwhelmed. You can honor that. And then you can also come back to, but what is there to be grateful for? What can I celebrate? Emotions are manifestations as well. It's not just that physical, tangible manifestation, right? There's so many steps on the way to that. And that's a huge message that has been coming through from the records around this moon. Cultivating deeper levels of faith. Cultivating deeper levels of trust, and being able to see beyond what is to what is possible for your future. So let me share my screen here. I love to give you the visual representation. I know so many of you said how helpful it is and how fun it is to actually see the energy that's at play here, even though it is all in symbols. I'll do the interpretation for you, but it's still very fun just to have that visual representation. So the moon is happening here at 23 degrees of Sagittarius, opposite the sun at 23 degrees of Gemini. So we are working on the Gemini Sagittarius axes. And I really want to start by giving you a deeper understanding of the archetypal energy of Sagittarius, since that is what is in the spotlight at this time. So Sagittarius energy is about freedom. It's about adventure. It's about exploration, joy, and optimism, about breaking free from the boxes that we put ourselves in. We trap ourselves from feeling free by these fears that we entertain, the doubts that we entertain, or even the beliefs we have taken on that are ultimately not a reflection of what is really possible for us. The beliefs we've taken on that are not in alignment with our higher self. They're just these stories we've created that don't serve us. And the Gemini Sagittarius axis is about telling a new story. Tell a story that reflects your power. Tell a story that reflects your worth, your abundance. Like, this is an invitation, this full moon, to say, what is the story I've created for my life? Does it serve me? If not, I can always create a new story that ultimately reflects who you are on a soul level and what you are here to do. So there can be in the shadow side of this energy a feeling of restlessness. Like I see Sagittarius is sometimes in the shadow energy can be this belief that the grass is always greener on the other side. So we're constantly in this energy of seeking but never fully arriving. And we want to arrive in the energy of joy. We can seek, we can explore, we can expand, and we can feel good in that process because the Sagittarius energy is really fun. I love that energy and that spirit of adventure, of freedom, of not wanting to be fenced in, not wanting to be boxed in, of always looking toward the future, being guided by our vision. That is such a powerful thing. We just want to make sure we are actually enjoying the journey, that we are not caught in that trap of thinking our happiness is always in the next adventure, in the next relationship, when we reach that next income level in our business, like always forever outside of us. It's actually within us. When we get good at generating that feeling of joy and abundance within us, then that is always reflected in the external world, but we can actually feel it and it's not dependent on our external circumstances and situations, which is really key. And the Sagittarius energy is also about our philosophy for life. So if we look at Gemini here, Gemini energy and the sun in Gemini is where we ask the questions. It's where we gather information. And then Sagittarius is where we begin to come to conclusions around what it is we do believe. And this is where we want to explore those conclusions we've come to. Are those conclusions actually serving us, or do we maybe need to go back to the drawing board and collect some information so we can, again, tell a story that reflects your brilliance, your worth, your power, your abundance? That's, again, a big, big part of this energy here. Now, the moon is making lots of aspects. So the first one I want to talk about is the sextile with Saturn here in the sign of Aquarius, which is very, very supportive. So because Sagittarius is a mutable fire sign and it's always seeking the next adventure, it's not always the best in and of itself at seeing things through to completion. But with this full moon and this positive aspect, this sextile aspect with Saturn, we can actually look at what we need to have in place to see things through to fruition. So to take your vision and have it be experienced as a physical manifestation, what do you need to do? What actions do you need to take? What foundation do you need to have? What plans do you need to have in place to really see this come to fruition in a new way? So it's actually a very grounding element that's coming into play here. Very, very grounding. And discipline actually leads to greater freedom. I know as creatives, when we hear that word, it's like, no, I don't want to be boxed in. And, we can kind of rebel against the term discipline. But when we begin to realize that being disciplined on the tasks that support our health, our well-being, our abundance, we actually create deeper levels of freedom. So I know that's been a huge mindset shift for me over the years, this realization that having that structure, that discipline, that sense of routine in my life actually serves me in greater levels of freedom rather than taking away freedom. Now, there's a square aspect that's happening between the moon here and Neptune in the sign of Pisces. This is interesting. There was so much guidance flowing in around this from the Akashic space. So Neptune is about transcendence. It's about our higher self. It's about elevating into higher realms of consciousness. It can also be about an element of confusion or kind of walking through the fog and not quite knowing where we are going. But that, I find that only happens with Neptune when we're not trusting our heart and intuition. Now, this square aspect is also at play with the sun in Gemini. So how I see this is there may be kind of an internal struggle that's happening between logic and intuition, between your heart and your head, where you're not really sure what direction to go, or where your intuition is guiding you doesn't feel logical at this time, or just kind of like that push and pull where you're like, oh, the clarity that you really are craving feels like it's not quite there. So what I would say around this is really trust your heart and know that you don't have to see each and every step. You just need the next one. We get really confused when we have a vision or a goal or something we want to accomplish and we're not sure the step-by-step way to get there. You don't need the step-by-step way. You just need to have the willingness to take the next step, to ask questions that expand you into receiving the answers that you want. So really trust your heart here. Trust your heart. If you are in that state of overwhelm and confusion and not sure what direction to go, take some time in meditations, take some time in quiet, just simply sitting, breathing deeply, connecting back to your heart, connecting back to the wisdom of your body can often bring new answers forward. We are in a time where we are often constantly overstimulated, whether we are always listening to a podcast or music, or we're multitasking, jumping from Instagram to Facebook, YouTube, and it's like overstimulation, and that's a lot for our nervous system, for everyone, and especially if we're highly sensitive, which I know I am. Many people that follow me are also highly sensitive, so we got to be aware of how we are using our energy and take that time just to come back where we can actually hear the answers and we can get the clarity that's there. Because anytime we ask, the answer is given. We simply have to be in a space where we are able to receive that answer, and we can't if we're very overwhelmed. Or again, this square formation with Gemini, where we are trying to maybe seek out the opinions of everyone. We're trying to entertain all the facts and we're just getting bogged down with it all instead of collecting the information. Ask for people's opinion that we trust, but ultimately, at the end of the day, come back to what you know in your heart is right for you. No one has your path. You know at the end of the day what's in your highest and best good. And this is your reminder that you can trust it. Always trust it. Another aspect this moon is making is a trine. So we have a trine aspect here with Mars and Chiron, both at 15 degrees of Aries. This is very powerful. So there's a lot of fire energy at play here with this full moon, which needs to be moved. Like fire energy can be great for excitement and passion. But if we're not moving that energy, it can also be frustration and overwhelm. So just be aware of how energy is moving through you, through going for walks, meditating, dancing, expressing your ideas. Let this energy be expressed. So Mars and Chiron here, this is interesting. So there's a few ways this can play out here. So there can be, when you're focused on your vision, there may be some old doubts and fears that are surfacing. So we can be on our path, we can be aligned, and that doesn't mean fear goes away. It doesn't mean we no longer have challenges just because we're now in alignment. They're different challenges though. When we are out of alignment, it doesn't matter how much external success it looks like we have, if something is missing, if we're not on our path. When we are on our path, there'll be obstacles and challenges that actually support our expansion and help us fully step into who we came here to be, who we are on a soul level. So Chiron in astrology, I love how it's shaped like a key because it's actually the key to our greatest healing gifts. But before we tap into it, it can manifest as kind of those fears, those doubts, those insecurities. But when we tap into the full power of Chiron, that's when it can really be, wow, my wounds are actually my greatest gift. Navigating this challenge was actually one of the biggest blessings in my life. So we begin to see it differently. So be aware of how that's playing out for you at this time, and don't allow your ego to hold you back. That part of you, your brain that just like wants to keep you safe, but doesn't necessarily support your expansion. Work through those fears, work through those doubts, There's a level of confidence you're invited to have here as well. And that is totally there for you to tap into. Like, even though there's the doubts and fears that can surface, they're like, again, it could kind of feel like a tug of war where there's doubts and fears, but there's this other part of you that's like, I can do anything. I'm so powerful. I'm so loved. I'm so supported. I've got a big goal and vision for my life. Like, it's kind of both of these energies at play, and that's totally okay. We can have the doubts, we can have the fears, and we can still do great things and move forward. Like, those emotions can all kind of coexist. In many humans, they do. So very interesting energy there with Mars and Chiron. Now, another way that this can play out, I'm receiving this from the records as well, is you are, I know if you found your way here, you are a very powerful healer. You are a light worker on this planet, and this is a call to share your gifts in new ways. This is a call to trust that you have codes of healing, codes of wisdom that activate people by simply being in your presence. So it's time to stop telling stories that you're not good enough, you're not ready, no one needs what you have to offer. I help so many spiritual entrepreneurs expand their business by working with cosmic intelligence and their unique blueprint. And I see the same fears surface again and again. So you're not alone in those doubts or fears. You just can't allow them to hold you back. That's just a decision you have to make, that you're going to move through them, that you're greater than your doubts, you are greater than your fears. So this really is a call to step up and share your gifts. It can also be an invitation to look at where you may be procrastinating, where you're holding back. This is another thing I see where we procrastinate because we're trying to perfect a certain project or certain offering, when really, if you just got it out into the world, it would help so many people, and it would help you make more money, and it would help your business grow, and it would just be a win-win all around. So this energy you can really tap into and be like, okay, like, what am I really waiting for? Like, now is the time for me to step up and claim the life I'm here to live now. Now is the perfect time. It's always essentially in the now, because you can put something off to the future, but when the future comes, it's no longer the future, it's the now, perpetually in the now. So how are you showing up in this moment in time? The ruler of this full moon is Jupiter, which also currently is in the sign of Aries. Jupiter in Aries it's a very motivating. It's about being in your power, embracing your leadership, leading yourself, not waiting, getting out of the waiting game, getting out of I need permission from other people. It's like, lead yourself. Aries and all these planets in Aries here are a nice little boost, a nice little boost and reminder to say, like, it's time to be in your power and remember who you are and stop making excuses and just go for it. Show up. You are greater than any obstacle that comes your way. You are greater than any challenge that comes your way. You will always rise up if you choose to believe that. And this energy is a reminder that that is ultimately who you are. So that's a, very interesting dynamic here with Jupiter, and that invitation to really step up and remember that power that you do have. Now, the other thing I want to take a look at here is Gemini. So Gemini is now Mercury in Gemini, sorry. So Mercury is now direct, but it's still in shadow phase at the time of the full moon, but shortly after it will leave shadow phase as well. But now that it's back in its home sign of Gemini, it's very powerful. So communication can be very powerful right now, especially when we're talking about Gemini and Sagittarius. Like, these are the communicators of the zodiac. This is about sharing knowledge, sharing wisdom, speaking your truth, being a channel for what wants to flow through you. Mercury now in Gemini is picking up so much strength. It is telling, though, that it's still kind of in those final phases of the shadow, which kind of speaks to the element that Neptune's bringing in too, where it can feel like a little bit of confusion, where you're not quite sure, you don't quite have the clarity that you want. And again, trust your heart. I know you'll always hear me say that, but it's true. And it really is the key. It's like there can be this kind of tug of war between head and heart, but it doesn't need to be. We can learn to balance the two and to flow in harmony money, but there definitely, it's okay. Again, I guess the reason this keeps coming through is it's okay if you feel like you don't have all the answers. It's okay if you have this really big vision for your life, for your business, for the impact you want to make on the planet, the money you want to make, the abundance you want to circulate, the message you want to share, like, and that you don't know exactly how it's all going to happen. That's okay. When you don't know what to do what you do know how to do. When it feels a little bit confusing, come back to knowing the answers are within you. So that's the guidance I would give there. I'm going to stop my screen share. So as you can see, there are lots of energies at play here. Again, a very dynamic full moon. Some main takeaways from the records. The message that has continually come through very strongly is to work on cultivating deeper levels of faith and trust. Don't wait for the tangible evidence before you believe. That is backwards. As conscious creators, we don't wait. We don't look around to see what's manifested and say, okay, now I believe. We believe, and then we create it in our world. Big message here. Believe it and you will see it. Hold the faith, hold the knowingness, lock into a vision that's bigger than just what you want for you and your life. What do you want for your family, your community, the planet at large? This is the big energy we are working with, with Sagittarius full moon. I love it. I'm here for it. It's a wonderful moon for the visionaries, for the dreamers, and for those who are willing to say, I'm claiming true freedom in my life. I'm claiming true freedom by setting myself free from where I've boxed myself in with insecurities and fears that do not ultimately reflect who I am and what I desire to experience. So if you would like to join me for a full moon ceremony, I do these every month, new and full moon ceremonies for my Divine Creators Inner Circle. It's happening on Tuesday, the day of the full moon. Always record it. There's also beautiful meditations in there that will show you how to explore your Akashic records. There's trainings in there that will help you activate your abundance codes and really basically become a master at consciously creating your life. I see it even deeper than manifestation. It's a co-creation process. You're co-creating with your higher self and your spirit team, and you're tapping into the knowledge and wisdom and healing that your records has for you. So if you would like to explore that space, I'll attach all links below to Instagram, free gifts, all good things. Sending so much love your way. Enjoy this beautiful full moon energy. I will see you soon. Bye for now.